Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mix and race mixes, matrix, kill the witches, 3 digits, made of 6s, KKK.
How y'all doing today? We are at Situations and Circumstances with Mariah.
Hi, y'all.
And Julius. And Classiq. Classiq is not here today, so we're going to be holding it down in honor of my man. What up? I know he's listening today, so hopefully he could call in a little later when he can. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm just sending out love to you, and I hope everything's well. And we also have Eric with us today.
All right.
So you'll be hearing his voice. And Julian just spoke in the third person right now, so it was Julius that was just speaking. So that's Julius.
Oh, yeah, what's up? And Eric B is our engineer. He's the one who's been holding it down for us behind the scenes, so we appreciate you today.
It's all good.
We appreciate you today. We are going to talk about heroes. We're going to talk about heroes and what does a hero look like to all of us. And because I know you and I, Mariah, we spoke briefly about coming up with the topic, and you said you didn't believe in heroes, which I thought was a very interesting viewpoint. I've never heard anyone say they did not believe in heroes, and which prompted me to ask a coworker, like, "Hey, bro, what's a hero to you?" He said, "I don't believe in heroes." I was like, "What?"
Another one?
I thought so 2 people in the world. It's only, believe it or not, it's just 2 of you guys.
There's got to be a listener that's thinking the same thing out there.
It's just 2. Yeah, believe it or not, it's just 2. Because he said he pictures a hero as a superhero. That's how a superhero was introduced to him. And he thinks they are made up, just have these superhuman powers. And he doesn't believe a human should be considered a hero, because his idea of a hero is someone who literally saves the world. He doesn't believe a human can save the world. So I thought that was a very interesting take. So I'm curious, and I'm sure we'll get to it later. I'm sure you will dive into that. Is it?
Yeah, for me, I totally see that because of the word hero, and you could put superhero. For me, it's only because, and I was thinking about this, why don't I believe in the word hero as far as a human goes? And it's because of that very fine line that comes right after that, which is idolizing a human. And I think a lot of times when someone might say hero or whoever it might be, idolization comes after that. And that's why I don't believe in that, because I always felt like those 2 came hand in hand growing up. Now I will say the only person that I would call a hero to me, there's a lot of people that I get inspired by and I'm motivated by, and I think very highly in terms of like who they are, highly in like who they are in their human, not highly in society. Not that they overrank anybody. The only person that I would ever say is a hero to me is Jesus Christ. That's my one and only hero. Because I will idolize him, of course. So for me, that's why I never call anyone that.
Interesting.
Even though I know that the definition of a hero has no part in idolizing anyone.
I got you. So how do you define it? How do you define a hero?
Well, a hero is someone that can be admired and does these wonderful things, period. It doesn't, it's mutually exclusive from idolizing. Although, like I said, it always ends up, because once, I think a hero can be put up on a pedestal. And so immediately when you put somebody up on a pedestal, they're already above. And so then there comes this, like almost looking up to, which can be nice, and then a very fine line between making them an idol and glorifying and worshiping that, and instead of just being like, hey, I admire you and I am inspired by you, yet we're still on the same playing field. You're not above anyone else. I think it's dope what you're doing, and I'm grateful for those things. I'd rather say those words, like, I'm grateful, I'm inspired by him, all these things, than just be like, Bap, you're a hero. Bap, you're a hero.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think, Eric?
I never put hero like you spoke about superheroes, and I like Marvel movies, and I like the comics. I like Superman's one of my favorites. Probably he's the best superhero, you know. And then, but there's a show on right now. It's on Amazon, and it's called The Boys. And it focuses on superheroes, but the reality behind them, right? So it's like there's this market for superheroes, and like we see the superhero as this icon, but then they have these real lives that they're living, and they're not always great, right? They do things that aren't always great. And so they use those same type of Superman, Wonder Woman characters, but then while they're saving the world, they're also like killing people too, to keep their image clean and stuff like that. And so when I listen to Mariah speak about that thin line of idolizing, I can see that. I can see that. I've never attached hero to idolizing, because I never used the word heroes like superhero. Like I never, when you say Malcolm X was a hero, or Martin Luther was a hero, or Shirley Chisholm was a hero, or heroine, whatever. I never equated that to superhero, like Superwoman or anything, where they were beyond what any human could do. I believe they did what was capable of any human, but the reason I will give them the hero title is because they did it. Right? And so it's like, it's not a matter of putting them above in the sense of they're better than, or they're able to do anything that anyone else couldn't do. It's just the fact that they actually did it. And so that gives a distinction to say, because like you said, a hero is just someone that you admire for a deed that they did, right? So the distinction between something that can be inspiring to look up to when you give these certain names for heroes, it's like, you can do this too.
Right.
And they're a hero because they actually just lived their best life, or they did what it is their purpose was, or they set out to it. So that's where I've always used the term hero, because like I don't put any person like on a Christ level, right? Because they haven't died for my sins or the world. So but I don't even look at him as hero. You see what I'm saying? I look at him because we weren't. That's something that no one else was able to do with my beliefs. You get what I'm saying? So that's not a human trait. The hero part is the fact that humanizes them, but it's just that they lived out their human abilities and they did what they could. We all could be doing, right? So,
because I agree with both to an extent. I define hero as more so attributes, characteristics, which leads anybody can be a hero, even like a kid. Someone mad younger, 15 years youth or 50 years you're seeing someone who's dead, I can still admire. And I believe the first attribute is selfless. I believe a hero has to be selfless. And then when you go down the examples or your beliefs of whom a hero might be, I think they all so happen to be selfless. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah.
So Christ, of course, but someone who is selfless, who does things with their heart, but still logical.
Logical.
But still passion driven. The heroes whom I will probably list later were very emotional. And that's very unlike me. But they're very emotional. What got them going was emotion, was passion. And it's kind of interesting who I admire so much. They wouldn't have done it because it wasn't logical. Such as a Malcolm. I don't believe getting in front of people and saying the nation is after me is logical.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't think Muhammad Ali saying you're my oppressor, not the Vietnam, but you, is very logical. I think that was very much passion driven, emotional driven. So I think a hero must have their emotions in check. Still logical, but have their emotions in check, because I think that fuels them.
What
Because
do you mean
they're
by
very
emotions
selfless.
in check?
What do you mean by they need to have their emotions in check?
What is that?
Okay, have you guys looked at interviews of Malcolm X? Have you ever heard him yell?
I see what you mean.
Peaceful.
Never. He had his emotions. He would get pissed,
Right.
and I think people would try to piss him off, but he never let his emotions get the best of him.
So you're saying a hero has to be able to keep their emotions in check?
Yeah, I think that's a very important.
Think he was actually feeling, because to keep it in check means that I'm like withholding and not allowing myself to yell, because you said he never yelled, right? So that means that he was feeling the want to yell. Do you think that he was actually feeling that, or do you think that he was just so grounded in who the heck he was? Nothing you could say is going to make me come out of who I am, because that is just who I am. Like, meaning I'm furious. But my fury isn't going to come out in yelling, because that's not who I am. I'm mad as heck, but I don't yell. You're not going to make me yell, because that's not who I am.
I would say, I'm sure at times there would be situations where he didn't yell because it was like, I'm not going to even honor that with yelling. But I also believe that there was also a self-discipline to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And knowing that if I do yell, like for instance, we talked about this on another show earlier this past weekend, and we talked about Malcolm and the fact that Malcolm gets labeled the violent and Martin the nonviolent, whereas Malcolm was extremely peaceful, like super peaceful. But I also believe there were times where he probably might have wanted to be angry or even display that, but he knew he couldn't because of the label that was on him.
Right.
Right. So he had, so like you said, I hadn't thought about it in the sense of keeping it in check, but just being disciplined and knowing that anything I do can really sway, the public opinion of what I stand for. Right. And so being careful in that and knowing that, okay, although this might be a time where I really want to be angry or I really might want to yell, if I do that, it's going to hurt the cause that I'm fighting for. So I have to.
That's where I'm coming from.
Right.
Fall back.
Which is interesting, because that's what we actually have been talking about, that aspect a lot, right? And it's interesting that comes up in this hero aspect as well, of knowing, like, what is the greater good in this moment? There's so many things that I want to do right now, but that's just in this one moment right here and right now. But what are the ripple effects of that? And thinking about logically this, but feeling also like, what are my intentions? Why am I even doing this in the first place? Because if I'm actually doing it for the greater good, then what's the best? Which can be, as I'm sure at the beginning, it probably wasn't that way. It was really tough.
And that's why that's what I mean. I mean, self-discipline. I think he did feel that way. I think he was very aware of his perception of a black Muslim. I think all of those things he was aware of. I mean, before he was Malcolm X, he was Malcolm Little. He was a pimp. He was a drug dealer. So I think that was in him. I think he was very fiery. But I think for me, that defines a hero. To keep that in check, to know what I'm doing, people are looking. I think he knew.
Oh yeah.
Whether he liked it or not, I don't think he would want us to call him a hero. But that's just part of the game. Yeah. I think when you put yourself in that seat, you're driving that car, that's inevitable. Like Charles Barkley said, I am not a role model.
Right.
He's a role model. He might not have wanted it to be that way, but that's just the rules of the game when you put yourself in that limelight.
Well, that kind of goes with the selfless part that you were saying, like he's not asking to be a hero, even though he might be considered a hero, right? And I don't think anyone, if someone is looking to be a hero, they've already eliminated the fact of them being a hero, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Right. You don't set out, you don't make yourself a hero, right? You just
because now that's feeding to the ego,
right?
And in this term that we have now come to, that is not a part of a hero.
Yeah.
Right. Like our president probably thinks he's a hero.
I'm sure he does.
You get what I'm saying? He probably feels I'm a hero. Yeah. That in itself.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have Muhammad Ali, who he was a people's champ.
Right.
Floyd Mayweather never lost a fight in his life, but people don't respect him. And Muhammad Ali was knocked out. And people respect him. So he was not just a world champ in the boxing realm, but he was a people's champ.
Yeah.
And that was because he was so selfless.
Yeah.
And I think that, for me, that's definitely is a hero-like person. Yeah. And mine is and I could dig. My boy just hit me. He said, I don't think Malcolm X is a hero. And I know where he's coming from. That's his favorite. That's his guy. But I'm assuming he thinks I'm idolizing him.
Right.
And I don't think that's up. And I think that's up to you.
Right.
If someone calls someone a hero, I don't think those two are like, yep, I'm idolizing him.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of, because of how it comes up in a conversation, the word hero, it very much so becomes a part of that. Now I idolize that person, where they are not. They are mutually exclusive. They do not need to be one and the same.
Right.
Even though it comes up that way most of the time when heroes are talked about. So that's what's so interesting about this word hero, because now because we know that it is talked about in that regard. Now when I say the word hero, that person might think that I'm saying idolizing. Even though I'm not.
Yeah, that's far from it. Right. In fact, I think they're a hero because they are so human.
Yeah.
Like,
I
think that's the great aspect of it. I'm loving them so much because they are human and doing these things that other people are hesitant to do.
Yeah.
Hesitant to do.
It's crazy. In all my time, I've never heard hero equated with idolizing. You see what I'm saying? It was always just a matter of a person doing something great. You admire that person, and they become somebody you look up to, so you just call them your hero.
Yeah.
But you never look at it like, I honor them. I wish they, I want to be just like them in every aspect, and all, like.
Which is because that means that you don't, and I get you. I do the same thing. Like, I don't do that, but I know so many that do that, and that's what's a trip. And I know that we have some callers calling in, and we will be taking those calls very shortly. But we're just gonna get right into this song by Nas. You enjoy. Thank you for listening.
Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
Hi, this is Mariah, and you are listening to kcbzradio.com. This is Situation and Circumstances, and we have a caller on the line. Hi, caller. What's your name?
My name is Anthony.
Oh, hi, Anthony. for y'all that are just tuning in, this is Anthony. This is who we were speaking about. That is not here with us today in the studio, but he is calling in right now.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Calling in, checking on you. It's a beautiful topic. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
I enjoy this topic, but you know what? I earlier, I don't remember the exact words. I think it might have been a combination platter of Eric and Julius that was saying something to the effect of like, if something to the degree, and maybe you can repeat it if I'm saying it wrong, but something about you can be a hero, or a hero doesn't know they're a hero, and if you know you're a hero, then you're not a hero, or something like that. What can you maybe say that part again, or do you remember touching on that?
Well, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, you can't set out to be a hero. You can't do it intentionally. I think you can know you're a hero,
right.
But I don't think you can go into the game intending to be a hero.
Right.
And I believe that you actually can in this way. I feel like if you know what a hero does, then you can set your radar to doing things that a hero does, in which case you are actually doing things to become a hero. So what I mean by that is so an example I would give is quite a large part of my life I've been a father, and quite a large part of my life I've been a big brother, and this has been, and oftentimes to children or I should say younger than me individuals, not much, maybe only a few years, but younger than me individuals who maybe lacked having a father, or lacked having a big brother, or lacked having somebody that was positive in their life. Okay, so then you fast forward, and these individuals that are looking up to you, they let you know that they're looking up to you. They let you know why they're looking up to you. And so then you can find yourself in positions where you intentionally are doing things to maintain, not maintain a status, but maintain these healthy choices that others are looking towards, that put you in this position where it's heroic for them. And so you can pretend to not to you. I think that there's a level of humbleness that comes with being a hero. So I don't think a hero is supposed to do like Donald Trump, and which he's obviously not a hero, but a hero doesn't run around town saying, I'm a hero, right? But I do believe there's a feeling, and you can be intentional about doing things that are hero-like.
Yeah, I think.
In which case, you can intentionally be a hero.
I think we're saying the same thing, but saying it different. That's because that's what I'm hearing. Meaning, you're not, Anthony, you weren't setting out saying, like, I'm going to be a hero with my life. You knew you wanted to do something positive. There are elements of a hero. Whoever they are, were the ones that called you hero, just like anybody else. I want to aspire to do these wonderful works, whatever those things are, just because that's who I am and that's a part of my characters. I love doing these things. I love it. They are qualities of a hero, yes. The people that see you, though, and view you as a hero, those are the ones that are calling you a hero, though. But that doesn't mean, like, I'm wanting, that's not my goal, like, on my things, that my dreams that I want to accomplish. You know, it's not saying I want to be a hero. It's saying I want to be the best version of myself that I possibly can be. And if someone calls me a hero along that line, dope. But that's on them if they want to call me a hero, not me calling myself a hero.
Yeah, and often because someone might not even respect your best work. Mm-hmm. So you might not ever be a hero. Mm-hmm. So if like, oh yeah, I'm doing all of these things really good. I'm gonna be dope to somebody. Somebody has to have high regards of me. But if my kids and my family and my homies don't think the things that I do, although it's the best version of me, it's still not heroic to them. Yeah. Then your perception of like, hey, I'm setting out to be this thing. Someone else calls you a hero. Exactly. Yeah. So even in the example you use, you say like if the younger folks was like, hey, I dig what you're doing, you're a great dad, and now you're aware of it. You were doing those things prior, which made them think you are heroic, and then you maintained what you kept doing or did it better, but they had this perception of you before. And you might have been unaware, and then that solidified. So you was trying to maintain that status quo. Because you already knew that they had this perception of you.
It feels like that's kind of a play on words, though. So for instance, before becoming just staying with that same example, before becoming a great father, the intention was set out to become a great father.
Definitely.
For the lack of having one, right? So okay, fathers tend to be when fathers are when they're doing things to I don't want to say when they're doing good things, but when they are doing their best, when they are doing things to fill the role in its varying ways of being a parent in general. As soon as you're telling yourself that you want to become a great parent and you put yourself in a position to do those things to become it, you may not call yourself a hero, because I don't think that people just go around saying it, but it doesn't mean that that it's not interchangeable. In other words, I feel like if I wanted to, if I said, if from the time I was a teenager, I said, you know what I want to do with my life? I want to become a doctor because I want to save people's lives. I also want to do something to help protect and save the animals and plants of the world and spread love. So let's say those are your three intentions, right? Mm-hmm. Save people's lives, save the planet, and what was the third one I said?
You said be a doctor from the get.
And save and so just let's say those two: saving people's lives, save the planet. If you set that as your intention and your goal, that's what you want to do, we know that people that do those things are heroic. And so I think that there is a possibility. I just think it's a play on words. I think that if a kid came up to me, which they have, and some of the jobs I've had, and a kid came up and said, "I want to be a hero," and then I say, "Oh, you mean you want to be like Incredible Hulk or Superman or Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel? You saying you want to be like them?" And they say, "No, I want to be a hero. Like I want to, save lives and do this and do that. I want to put out fires," or whatever they may compare it to, whether it's a police officer or these other people that we call heroes, right? Mm. That aren't the superheroes, but we call heroes. A child can say, "I want to be a hero," and intend on doing those things that we have said, or that I've heard you guys say, that helps become a hero. The selflessness, the heart and the intent. I just think that you can say, and I don't think there's anything wrong with. And I think that if you heard it from an ear of a child, you would probably agree, like, "Oh yeah, you can be a hero. You can, if that's what you want to be, you can." And if they stayed in your life, you probably would try to do everything you could do to inspire them to keep trying to be a hero. I think that when you're told that you're a hero from someone else and you haven't said out loud that I am a hero, I think that it doesn't mean that you don't know. I think that that's holding on to the modestness and the humbleness that we relate to being a hero, because heroes don't just go around and brag on it. But I do believe that you can have the intent to be one and then do things to try to become one. And I don't think that means you're not one because you've done things to become one.
Yeah. So this is Eric B. I appreciate that thought process too as well. From my point of view, I feel like the thing about hero is there's this part that's called selflessness to it, right? And if a child, of course, was to come up and say, "I want to be a hero," I'm going to encourage them to do that, right? If a child comes up to say they want to be an ant farmer or a glass maker, or they want to be the best lint picker off of shirts, I'm going to encourage them. Because that is what they aspire to do. So crushing children's dream is not the point. But I do believe when we begin to start looking at adults, or when we get mature in our thought process and we start looking at what a hero is, that's not a label that we put on ourselves.
Right.
And so this is just my opinion. But it's not a label we put on ourselves, nor do we aspire to achieve. It's something that gets placed on us. So even though it's something that you can't really set out to do, because at the end of the day, like for instance, there are some people, like if when you pass away, when you're gone, if you were to able to kind of sit back and just look at what everyone says about you after you're gone, if no one said the word hero or no one looked at it as admirable, would you would you look back and feel like you didn't do what you were supposed to do with your life? Like the thing is, we should be doing those things to just be the best us, and not out of modesty, but just or anything like that. But if it's almost like if I'm aspiring to be a doctor, that's a goal that I can reach. Like I can actually go to med school and continue to do that, and at some point you can get a certificate that says MD. Whereas with hero, it's one of them things where it's like there's not really I mean, you can get somebody can make a certificate that says heroic, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like for a kid to be like, there are things that we consider to be heroic, meaning that you attribute to heroes, but to actually become a hero is something that you never get to put on yourself. It's something that's put on you. And so if you've lived your life and then at some point someone's come across you and said, hey, you're my hero. Well, wow, you achieved it, right? You if that was something, if you were, it should almost feel like an honor as opposed to a goal is what I'm saying. Like, and the reason I say that is because if you don't, if your goal is to do something that has to be put on by somebody else, I guess, and you don't make it, was your life now invalid? Because it wouldn't be. You would still have done all those great things. It just might not have been someone that publicly announced the fact that you were a hero. You know what I mean? Because people like Malcolm get titled hero, but we all know several brothers and sisters that have done some great work and have never heard the word hero attached to their name.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean that their work wasn't valid or that they did what they were supposed to do. And then because of that, and this is just my opinion, I believe that hero is a word that goes with, that somebody gives to you. Right. And so to aspire for something that you can't gain on your own, you kind of set yourself up, and it becomes about self, and it's not selfless. So then it loses the hero aspect.
Yeah.
You know?
Hello?
Well, yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well,
That's just a different opinion.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
just-
Like, just a difference
right.
of
We shall
opinion.
have to.
But
We
but that's
shall have to. I mean, there's aspects of that I agree with. There's certainly aspects of that, but I guess just in the smaller part that I would still contend is that I do believe you can set out to become a hero and do just that. What I believe would happen is, and I don't believe that it means that it would take the selflessness away from it. No, any different than you wanting to become one of the things or one of the things that we consider to be a hero. So if you say you want to become a doctor and we consider doctors heroes that save people's lives, just talking about those particular kinds of doctors for sake of argument, the ones that save lives or deliver babies or give life, or not give, but you get it. And I believe the same way you can set out to be that, you can set your mind frame to, I want to do things that I believe a hero would do. I want to become a hero. You never have to call yourself that at all to want to have the intention to become something bigger. And so I guess it would depend on what individuals, I mean, first of all, it would depend on if you want to go by the definition of hero or if you want to go by what a hero is in the terms of how we feel, what we feel like a hero is. And so I've heard the differences between a hero being only, I've heard earlier that a hero would be Jesus. And so if Jesus is the bar of hero, then no one's a hero right after that. Unless, I mean, depending on your religious beliefs, some might throw Muhammad or Buddha, or some might throw some other people in that pot, depending on their perspective of that. But all that to say, if that's the case, then yeah. But if that's not the case, and we go with some of the other definitions that I heard when we're talking about human beings and them doing these selfless acts and try to make huge differences in these different ways, then I do believe that I don't want that you should go out and say as an adult, or maybe it would be a harder acceptance if you went out and said, hey, I'm trying to be a hero. Maybe there's a tinge of, maybe something will happen there to a person that may click, that makes it seem like they're vain or about self. But I think that you can certainly thrive to be a hero and achieve that without it meaning. I just believe you can achieve that. And if you did it and it was selfish, then you wouldn't achieve it anyway, or you would achieve it falsely. But if you're actually given to yourself for all of these right reasons, then I think you can accomplish it. But you guys are doing a fantastic job. I could have said, damn, damn. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
Here he goes.
And,
here he goes.
And thanks for taking my call.
Yes, thank you, Anthony, for calling in. And that's what's so cool about this show, Situation and Circumstances. Every situation and circumstance is different and calls for a different opinion, and we all have our own. And just allowing the space for us to be able to talk and hear each other out and see why we feel the way that we do and why we think the way that we do. So it's I do like that he brought up that matter of a father trying, or some young people's not having someone to look up to. So I actually brought this question up to my family, my youngest brother included, and I asked them, do y'all have a hero? And there was a pause for a minute, and my brother, I love him. He's very, very animated. He's like, no. And his face scrunched up, and I thought, okay. He's like, but what is? And I was like, so what is a hero to you then? Because he's like, well, I don't know, because I don't. And so I asked him, what is a hero to you? And so it was interesting, his definition of it, because he was saying that a hero, he said, for me growing up, a hero was your dad. That was supposed to be your hero. He was the one that was supposed to be your first hero. And immediately my mom and my aunt chimed in. They're like, no, because that's not what their opinion is, but that's not, I didn't ask for it. I want to hear yours, brother. Why? What about it? And so he went on to talk about how when he was growing up, he thought, because of he was like, the movies tell you that, the people tell you that, that the first person that you're supposed to look up to in terms of being that person for you is your father. And so if we were going to go by that definition, man, first of all, the fact that a child is thinking that that's the definition of a hero. Wow. What are we doing? What are we doing? That in our media, that was the first thing that he said. He said in the movies, it's the dad. First of all, why is it the dad, and why isn't it just a parent, period? Whoever that might be. Secondly, to put that on a dad specifically, how big of a weight that is for that person. And then thirdly, for those people that don't have that person, like for, just what we talked about, it's like, there's no way that did not happen in my upbringing. In our upbringing, that did not happen. So now we never get to have a hero. In that eyes, it's like, why do they get to have a hero, a dad that is what he felt like from the media and society? They get to have a hero, but I don't get to have a hero. Like what that might do, growing up like that and thinking that that's a hero too. And just like I'm just thinking of like what that might feel like if that was my definition, and seeing like, okay, so this guy is supposed to be my hero. That's what's supposed to be my hero. Like, what if your dad was really abusive, physically, mentally, emotionally? That's what a hero is? Then I don't ever want a hero. If I ever hear the word hero, now I question it. So this definition of hero is so interesting, and this topic of hero is so interesting, especially when we're deeming it on humans who are imperfect too. And so in that case, that's why I always go back to Jesus is my hero. If we're going to call anyone a hero, hands down, that's it. One person, the end. Because it's such a heavy weight for the person carrying it and for the person bestowing it, and then therefore any other word, hero, that is deemed on another person, to say, ooh, these two are this. It's so heavy.
I think that's what makes it beautiful. Because not one person is perfect. That's why I think being human is a part of that trait, which is why, like, God, you can't compare anybody to Jesus. I don't think that's fair to even. It's kind of like Denzel Washington. Like, you don't compare another actor to Denzel or to Rakim. It's like that's a sphere, and everybody else is good because I think you have characteristics, but one might fail in that, which is why you have heroes. I think Martin was very emotional, and he showed it. You get goosebumps listening to Martin Luther King, whereas Malcolm, you'll feel, let's do it. Mm-hmm. So one one was stronger in a certain field for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Malcolm had goosebumps on other people's as obviously, but I didn't go to Malcolm for that emotional appeal. Mm-hmm. I went to Martin for it. My mom and dad are both heroes to me. Mm-hmm. I go to my dad for certain opinions, but that's his lane, which is why I love my mom so much, because she is strong in those lanes that my dad lacks. You know what I mean? So when we compare someone to Christ, I just don't think it's.
That's why I don't.
But that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a comparison. That's why I hate comparisons. I think it's just.
That's why giving Christ a hero title
doesn't
work for me.
He's Christ.
Anything you can give to a human, you can't give.
Right.
Yeah,
which
but I don't think. But that's my point. I don't.
Right.
Christ is obviously. He's not. He's Christ. Mm-hmm. Like he's Christ.
Right. The end. Yeah.
So I don't like putting Christ in that sphere. Because I'm talking about human things that.
For me, hero was never human. That's what it was.
Yeah. So then we have to define a human.
Exactly. That's what you were saying.
Right. So it's like. You can't. It's the interchanging of like definitions with the people and it can't be done because in my sphere there is no. That is why he is the only one, right? In my sphere that makes sense. Now I could tap into yours and there's a heck of heroes in that case, right?
Yeah, I have tons
for sure,
for that reason.
Which is why it's like it's just based off of the definition. And then in my brother's case, it's like oof. That's really tough too, you know, and especially for a young man thinking like, oh, okay, that's what I'm aspiring to be. And for not everyone has something in their father. If that's the definition, if this is the definition, I need to aspire to that. I need to aspire to that. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Or like, dang, that's what I got to aspire to. That's what for me. That's what this is all about too. Is like the definition in which we want to travel down, because there could be one, none, or many. Mm-hmm. You know,
definitely.
Yeah. So you know what? How about we go to a song?
Yep. Let's
do it.
And
then we come right back. Hey, callers' lines are open. 502. Log on to kcbzradio.com and check the schedule for Situation and Circumstance Live, complete with music, live phone call access, and additional audio and programming. Anthony and TBT would love for you to be a part of the live broadcast and recording of Situation and Circumstance at kcbzradio.com.
That's my beat right there.
Welcome back, y'all. This is Situation and Circumstance. As I was just talking about, we were just talking right now during the break about Beyonce and how there's so many people that mix her into my definition of what a hero is, and how interesting that is. Where, like Julius said, it's like they're putting her on a godlike pedestal. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, wow, for me, I wonder if there's anyone out there that does do this. Please, I would love to hear you call in and chime in on this. I would love to hear your opinion on why this is on putting a human being, Beyonce is a human being, on a pedestal that she is godlike in their eyes. I feel like is it a void? Is it something that you have always looked for in a human being? Or like, what is it that would put another human into that realm?
Man, that's a great question.
502-509-5229.
It's some people lack Jesus. Or some people literally. I went to see David Banner. Great. He was great. He was talking for about an hour, but he believes in Jesus, but he believes everybody is a God. So it could be that he literally believes every human being has the ability to bear their own cross, and he thinks Jesus did just that. He cried, he ate with people, he was a carpenter, he worked. But the one thing that he did that some people don't do is take accountability, and they don't follow their path, they don't follow their purpose. He said, David Banner, everybody is a God, not God, but a God, because they can do everything that he did that was human-like. Now, he said he doesn't believe humans have the power to cleanse sins and die for everybody, but he believes everything that Christ did that was human-like, minus the resurrection, one can do. So his definition is every single human has the potential to be a God.
I think that differentiation in there is that even when you look into scriptures, the capital G and the lowercase g.
Right. Precise.
Whereas, and so as, believers, when you look at Yeshua HaMashiach, or Jesus, his God has a capital G because it's the same spirit. You get what I'm saying? And but it does mean, but there are even acknowledged throughout scripture lowercase g's and the ability to have those spirits as well and tap in. So just I'm really just throwing in that
For sure.
differentiation between the capital
That's
G,
important.
the one sovereign above all,
Right.
and then every other angels, gods,
Right.
flesh, spirits, right? Because you're dealing with spirits. So just throwing that.
No doubt.
That differentiation in
you
there.
got to, definitely. I think that's important. The title of today's show is Die and Be a Hero, or Live Long Enough to See Yourself Become a Villain. And that's from, I would love to take credit for that. I would absolutely love it.
Is that the first time you heard that, Eric?
Yeah.
That's
That
from
is.
Dark Knight.
Oh, wow.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight.
Batman.
Yeah.
Batman, the one with Harvey Dent, the lawyer who became Two-Face.
Yeah, I remember that Batman.
were
They
having
said
dinner.
that in there?
Yeah, I know. I wish they got it from me.
He said,
Right,
I got a credit
or
on that.
Willie Bobo. What? Say it one more time. What did they say?
Die and be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And
That's right.
there are people who I will give this example of Jay-Z. 96, his first album dropped. He was talking about almost everything that he's talking about now. Then I don't think we were just ready to hear it. But if he was to say retire 3 years after Reasonable Doubt, he would be seen as this self-made millionaire, started his own thing, put Brooklyn on the map, put put hip-hop on the map, and came through after Biggie and was holding the flame. If he talked about gentrification in 97, 8, 9, it would be like, yeah, we got this woke brother who's doing his thing. But he talked about it this year, and people are like, why is this billionaire talking about gentrification? He can't relate.
Yeah.
But he's the same thing.
Yeah.
He talked about that in 96 and 7 and 8, 9. But so if he was to die, he would have been a hero in 99. Not a hero like, but people would have respected that. But now it's like he's so far removed,
Yeah.
quote unquote, that he's now a villain. They don't believe Jay-Z can talk about gentrification because he's a billionaire. Or Muhammad Ali. If he was just Muhammad Ali, just Cassius Clay, he would have been a hero. But he kept doing the same thing that made him Muhammad Ali. And you can't do that. You can't be consistent. I think you're only a hero when it's convenient for others. But if you're always that stern father and you're a great leader, you're like, cool, my dad does this, and that. But if you keep doing it for 10, 15 years, like, damn, my dad is just strict. He don't let me go out. I can't do this with the girls. I can't come in late. He was that when you were 2. He was that when you were 10 and 11, and he built that foundation that you stand on. But when he's that thing for so long, I think you're hated.
Mm-hmm.
You can't continue doing that thing that made you a hero for too long.
I think what's important to what you're saying is both in that example and in the example with Jay-Z, it's the time difference, right? It's not just the fact that they're doing it for so long, but that the time has changed outside of them too, right? And even with this father, this 2-year-old is gonna need different love and attention at 2 than they are at 15. So it's like who you are. It's not changing who you are. It's changing how you might do something, right? And like when you do it is really important, because if you're gonna talk to your 2-year-old as if they were 15, it's not gonna work the same. Just like if you were to talk to your 15-year-old as if they were 2. Same thing with Jay-Z. Like same thing. Talking about gentrification now versus if you were to talk about it back then, right? It's just it lands differently. How it's going to land is not going to land the same.
It won't. And for LeBron James,
Yeah.
when Mike Brown was killed and they wore the hands up, don't shoot in the games, of course he had some haters, but everybody was like, yeah. LeBron is doing the same thing now 7 years later, and people are like, all right, bro, chill. So if he was just stop just with the shirt, I think it would have been like, yeah, LeBron, quote unquote, stood up. That's very light, but he stood up.
Right.
But now he has shows and he's producing documentaries, and Rich Paul is his agent, and
he has a school.
He has schools. Like if he would have just stopped just at the shirt piece, it would have been like, cool, LeBron, thank you. Because other people didn't do that. Kobe didn't do that. Barry Bonds wouldn't have done that. Tiger Woods wouldn't have. Thank you, LeBron. But being that he's been that thing for so long, it's now like, all right, LeBron, chill. It's getting kind of annoying. Let's not mix politics with sports.
Interesting.
Let's not do this and that. Colin Kaepernick, I think if he would have just did that one day, dope. He made a stance. Cool. But he did it for years and was unapologetic about it, had his fro out, and he was the same person who he was when he kneeled the first time, but he kept kneeling. And people were like, all right, bro,
and you don't think
chill.
that that's something admirable?
No, definitely. No, that's
Okay.
great, but goes to the topic. You can die and be a hero. You can do it for a short amount of time, but if you do that same thing for a long time, people start hating or think you're illegitimate. They think you're
doing it for
show.
something.
Yeah.
And that goes to why I think it's kind of almost pointless to shoot for the hero title, right? Because if that's what you stand for, then you should be doing it
Right.
Forever, yes.
And even once you hit that villain thing, once it's post LeBron, the hero title, they'll give it back. Or, because, when you just look at people and it's and humans and mankind, it's through history, it's never it never changes. People are really fickle and funny, and one day in the feelings, fads come. It's like whatever the new thing is what the new thing is in that moment. Like right now, race relations is the new thing, right? As if race relations hasn't
always
been there, but right now it's like a political talk and everything. It's the thing to stand on, and that's just mankind. That's just people. So I think that's why it's important to just do you, and what you believe and what you stand for. And if someone attributes that title to you, then it happens. If it didn't, you did what you're supposed to do. It didn't, because you're not doing it for that. Although the things you may do may be considered heroic, but it's really, it's always more stuff to it that adds to make that heroic title. Just because you're a spokesman for something, or a leader, or a nationalist, or whatever it may be that you're doing, right? A doctor, whatever it may be, just because that one person did it and they were heroic for what they did doesn't mean every doctor's a hero.
Right, exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Or every person that does that is a hero all of a sudden.
I was hearing the 2 words. The first word was romanticize, and the second word was overcomer, and how different those two play in this. It's either it's romanticized, and I aspired to be that, and that's what I want to be. So yeah, in that case, if that's of course, after 15 years, you're going to feel that you're being villainized. Mm-hmm. And then you might want to stop and change things up because you don't want to be a villain. You want to be a hero. Mm-hmm. So you're going to change. But if you're an overcomer and you're here trying to do what you need to do, your intention is real. You don't give a hoot and nanny what they call you. That's you know what you're doing is right. In your heart, in your gut, you know that you need to be here doing this for 50 million years if that's how long you're going to be on this earth. I don't care what you say about me in the papers or what you say behind closed doors. I know what I'm doing is right, and this is what I got to do, period. Doesn't matter. 'Cause at the end of the day, I'm not the one putting the title of hero on me. You did that. Right. It goes way back to I think that was the very first show that we ever did, was talking about like how people bestow these labels on top of it. You know, like star, they're a star, they're a star, they're a hero, they're a hero. If you feel that way about someone, that's cool. That's on you. They never said that. They're just trying to do what they need to do.
Right.
Period.
That's like the comedian Monique.
Yeah.
Like how she went through all that, and she, everybody was blasting her and like, oh, you should do it this way. You shouldn't have said that, and you shouldn't have said that. And she just kept saying her piece. Her this is
the way she wanted to.
And now, it turned full circle. Yeah. We got a phone call.
We got a phone call right here. Caller, hi, you're on KCBZ Radio. They hung up. Okay, well, if that was you, you can call right back. We got you. We got you, but I'll just give you the phone number again, just in case. It's 502-509-5229. Again, that's 502-509-5229. Thank you.
That's a great example, Monique.
Yeah, because it's come full circle for her. Right? Now it's like everything she said is coming out.
Yeah. And she's like, I've been saying like that. I said. And it's interesting. So I love that you picked this song from Beyonce, and then the fact that we got to hear the speech part in it, because Monique, right? So she's a woman, and she's a brown woman or black or whatever she might call herself. So it's like what people want to bestow on her, right? They want to villainize her. And that's what's oh gosh, it's just, it's so frustrating. Because would that have happened if she looked a different way? Right? I mean, there's so many things, and she was just trying to be her the whole time. Not even trying, she was just doing her the whole time. And so now, finally, when people are ready, and so it makes me, as I'm watching all these things, we'll get back into what I was just about to talk about, but we have a caller. They called back. Welcome to KCBZ Situation and Circumstance. Who's this on the line?
Hey, what's going on? This is Hanak.
What's going on, man?
Hey, Hanak. How's it going?
How you guys doing? Pretty good.
My man's about to correct me on Malcolm.
This is a great topic, by the way. So I just got a few things to add. I didn't take notes, so hopefully I can remember what I was going to say. But as far as, I think idolizing someone and someone being a hero are two different things, extremely. And I do believe like cats like Malcolm and, Martin were heroes because not only did they literally sacrifice their life because they knew death was inevitable in what they were doing, but it also affected their whole family's life till this day. So you can't discount what they did and not call them a hero, because not only did they sacrifice their life, they literally, their whole family tree is suffering to this day because of their actions of standing up for people.
Yeah, I dig it.
So that's one aspect that I personally don't think can be forgotten. So therefore, anyone who's willing not to only do that and their family, like, you can't call them nothing but a hero. Now, to idolize them would be slightly different because you put them superhuman and make them an unreachable thing in a way like you can't emulate what they have done and the blueprint that they set. But to have someone a hero, doesn't mean that you can't do what they do or follow the footprints they have set. Yeah, so that's the primary thing that I wanted to touch on.
Thank you for sharing, Hanak. And I want to touch on the first thing that you shared with us. So thanks for sharing your perspective. And calling in on that too, because this is a pretty intense topic, because there's a lot of heroism happening too, and I think it's making sure like the definitions, like we keep talking about the definitions, because it's so important. Like in my definition, there's no one that could be a hero, right? And it's just in my definition. But if we're going to, like Julius's definition, heck yeah, no, in both, none of what they did was ever discounted. Like no one could ever discount what they did in either of these definitions ever, because what they did was incredibly selfless is the one word that I could. It was selfless, period. For that individual, whoever that one might be, and like you said, the entire family lineage, because they're still going through it. So never could that be discounted. I think it's more of just what definition are we going with, whether it's mine, my brother's, Julius's, because that's what lays the foundation too of it.
Yeah.
No.
And I know it gets a little. Oh, I'm sorry.
What's up?
And I know it gets a little tricky with definitions, right? And when we talk definitions, I'm gonna go more textbook definition and not add my personal feelings and not personalize it. So by definition, being selfless and doing these things without seeking anything in return is what makes someone a hero. Now, for instance, I know you're talking about like doctors being a hero, or a father being a hero, which is granted, a father can be a hero, but simply being a father does not make you a hero, right? And simply being a doctor does not make you a hero, because along with, like, for instance, a doctor or a firefighter or someone in the military, that doesn't make them a hero, because they are getting compensated for their actions, right?
Interesting.
So once you're getting compensated for something, you're not doing it simply you may be simply doing it for the heroic action, right? But we can't tell, because you're still benefiting from this, right? We don't have a clear-cut definition whether you're doing it with true good intentions as a doctor, or you're doing it because you got really good money doing it, right? So guys like Malcolm literally died with less than $600 to his name. His family was literally being supported by outside sources. Martin, these guys were not rich, beyond, like, not even close. So meaning what they were doing literally had no benefit directly to them, except, and the only thing they really got out of it was just torture, pain. The family had to go to struggle and death. So even knowing that, same as what Jesus did, right? Because I know you guys brought him along earlier. There was no real reward. There was no real reward. There was no real reward to what they did.
Now let me ask you this:
for them personally,
is Malcolm a unicorn?
Well, damn, that's a tricky question. When you say unicorn, meaning that it'll never happen again, or is he just rare?
Is he rare? Is he something that you won't see again because of what he did?
I won't say that, because nothing is definitive. I will say he is rare.
What makes him rare?
But I won't say it's impossible to happen again. Because there's not too many people willing to give up everything. Like Colin Kaepernick is a great example of that, because he literally gave up millions, and he's never gonna, he's gonna be forever held in that light. He's not gonna be able to get jobs. America as a whole has turned their back on him, and he could have just shut up, got paid $100 million, 3 times over possibly, and played that role and just kept his mouth shut, and he would have been living a good life. But even though that option was so much easier than what he did, he still did the opposite.
Right. He's become villainized now.
A hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a villain, because he took the route for the people rather than himself.
Right. Even though he's doing amazing things still to this day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if that doesn't make someone a hero, then there's no such thing. That word shouldn't even exist. And I know that, and we all disagree, but to say that there isn't heroes by whatever definition, what's the purpose of the word existence?
Yeah. Go ahead,
But-
Eric.
Yeah, I don't know. I had so many things running in my head. I'm trying to remember for the call.
No, we appreciate it.
You got a question in from online, and it says, how many people have to think someone is a hero for someone to actually be one, and how many people have to think someone is not a hero for them not to be?
Oh, wait.
Is that question directed towards
Yeah,
me?
yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
Well,
Directed towards the show? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could literally be just one person thinking someone's a hero. You know, if they alter, like for instance, the whomever was directly, and I'll use Malcolm because this is always easy for me, but whoever was the direct person who got Malcolm into the nation in jail is probably his hero. Because they altered his life.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah. Thank you.
And he may be the only person to call that person a hero.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's
Ever
true.
in that
Very
person's
much.
entire life. Ever.
He completely altered this one person's life.
Right.
So yeah, it only takes one person for someone to be acknowledged as a hero.
Thank you so much, Hanok, for calling in and weighing in on this and openly.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
No. That's a good question.
Yeah. And I concur. I think it's one person, but just like anything for anything, if someone says you're a kind person, you're a kind person to that one person, even if you're
That's true.
a complete a-hole to everybody else, to that one person, there's no way that they could be. They're so kind.
So if someone is a complete a-hole to everyone, but one person thinks they're kind, does that make them a kind person?
In their eyes, in that person's
that
eyes,
person's
in that
eyes.
person's eyes.
Gotcha.
And so
Yeah,
for
right.
me, that's what I'm saying is it's like not as a whole, this person is now a kind person just because that one person said it. Just like if this person was kind, period, and then one day they were an a-hole
Right,
to that
right.
one person, they're no longer. It doesn't mean that they're an a-hole completely just because that one person thinks that. But to them,
Right.
they are that. So just like this, if that one person, just like he said, if Malcolm X, to that person, you are my hero, whoever that person is. Right. That I believe that under the textbook definition of hero.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I agree. Me, because
Got
we
you
have
pondering
these talks.
over here?
Yeah, because I'm not a believer that perception is reality from the general definition of it. But I had this talk, and it goes to what you just said. Perception is reality to whom has that perception.
Yes,
And I was like, what? Because it's kind of true.
it is true.
I don't think, I might not be difficult to you guys. There's somebody who thinks I'm difficult.
Anthony's-
Therefore, I'm difficult
To somebody.
to somebody.
Yeah.
So I can't say that the perception is reality is false because their perception of me is reality.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I'm like hell bent on saying, nah, I ain't difficult. Nah, I ain't stubborn. But obviously that has been the experience that I have given certain people. So if I have been heroic to my nephew, cool. But if I've been anti that to the people I work with, they're like, yeah, get him out of here. I can't wait for him to quit. He's a horrible person. My nephew's like, what? Not him.
Right.
So perception is reality to whoever has that perception.
You're right.
Right.
So like Kanye, he's a hero to somebody. He's a genius. Trump is a hero.
He's an amazing producer.
He's a great, yeah.
Right.
He makes great
Doing
music.
things.
Yeah.
Like now.
He's like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
People look up to him for his business savvy but we don't.
right.
So he might not be a hero to us,
Right. I get what you're
but
saying.
he's a hero.
Kanye, Trump.
Say it one more time.
You're saying Trump is not a hero.
Oh,
to us.
Kanye.
No,
Oh,
Kanye.
as well
Kanye.
as Trump. Excuse
Oh,
as
oh,
well as
oh,
Trump.
no.
He said both
no.
names. I was just, and then they kind of got this little thing that they have
I
connected.
wish you
so
could
it's
see
like,
Eric's eyes right now. Like, wait.
Check it. Just
I
ask.
just want to make sure.
Hey, no, No bias, just ask.
But the same
This is a
reasons-
safe space.
Safe space.
No.
Safe space.
Interesting enough, the same things that make people a hero, people hate.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
The very things that people love, the opposite hate.
Well, and it's interesting to say the people, right? Because there's different groups of people that they hate on that type of thing. I can't tell you the amount of people that hate on kindness and love, and it irritates them to their core to see someone be so kind just because that's who they are. They're going to be kind and loving 100% of the time, but they're annoyed by it. So therefore, I don't, like I said previous to this, I don't care if you think I'm a villain. I didn't care in the first place. So that's why when you brought up Trump, in some people's eyes, and that's what's disgusting, is like what you can see as a hero. That's what's a trip too. Is what you can make anybody a hero in your eyes, depending on your perspective, your reality, on what you feel is right, wrong, beauty, anything to aspire to be. And that's what's also crazy and scary too about that.
You have one more question here. You want it?
Yes,
It
of course
says,
we want that.
Are the boys that experienced the BS from the movie When They See Us? Did you guys see that?
I couldn't. It was
Wait.
too heavy.
Where the boys?
Oh
that was the,
yeah. Oh yes,
the
I saw
five.
it. Yeah,
The
yeah.
five.
I saw it. The series
Yeah.
on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay. Are they heroes?
I would say, yeah.
You would say yes.
I would say, yeah, for me.
Okay.
As well as Khalif Browder, someone who killed himself because he experienced the same thing. So these brothers, they might have not survived it. Mentally, I think they're all their mind is deteriorated due to their experience. But for me, they're heroes because they survived it. They lived through it. They can speak about it. And that has motivated people to do something about that thing. Khalif Browder, he survived something very similar, falsely accused for stealing a backpack and was on Rikers Island for 3 years. At the age of 16
It's crazy.
to 19, he lived 2 more years and he committed suicide. For me, he's a hero. They're both heroes, or all 6 men are heroes for the same reason. They motivated people to do something, and they both did it in an unselfish manner. I mean, they all could have. Khalif Browder said he would rather not take a plea deal because he didn't want to be falsely accused.
Right.
For me, that's heroic. These brothers fought their whole time, and now we know their name.
Yeah.
And to me, that's very heroic. So yes, if you ask me, but I have a different perspective.
For me, that's just. I think it's tough, because we were just talking about on the phone. It's not discounting anything that they did, because what they did. And if you don't know, just in case, When They See Us is a show on Netflix. It's about the Central Park Five, and if you don't know about that, I highly encourage you to go look it up, because this is something that's been going on for far too long now. Because what they went through and how they went through it, and to think that they're children going through this, like children, and they're sitting there and they're going through this and they're living every day. They're choosing to live every day.
Right.
And they're choosing to go and say, like, no.
Right. They've been convicted for a crime they did not commit.
Correct.
And they're serving time, right?
For time that they don't need to be spending time for.
Right.
Yet they choose to show up every day and still be who they are and show up for the day. Like, that can never be discounted, period. Right. And if you do discount that, then there's something that you need to look at within yourself. I think that's what's, again, it's the definition of hero, right? That's something that I would have to work on in myself if I want to say anybody's a hero, because I can't. I mean, you heard from the top of this who I call heroes. So it's like I'd have to do a lot of work, and that's interesting. What's so cool about these shows is like we figure out what we want to talk about, and now here I am for 2 weeks thinking about hero. How do I define it, and who is that, and why is that, and why do people not see it the way that I see it? Why do I see it the way that I see it? And so it does take a lot of work within to change that within me. Now I'm thinking like, dang, when people say like so and so's a hero, and you're like, really? They're a hero? Wow. So now, would I call them a hero at this moment in time? I don't call any human being a hero, so right. It's not even a negative thing that I'm not calling them a hero.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
I'm also saying that they're incredible human beings. Admiral. Yeah, to be able to go through that the way that they did and come out and be able to speak on it. So, gosh, it's so admirable to look at someone go through what they did and still be loving and caring folk, you know, and still like go to their family, who I'm sure they were trying to do the best that they could at that moment, and still love on them and not hold any grudge on them. Right. That's huge. So yeah, and I do admire them very heavily in this moment. Come talk to me in 5 years. I don't know. I might change my story on how I define it. What about you, Eric?
Excuse me. Yeah, considering the fact that I don't define hero, I only define hero by I admire something they did. Right. If I admire what they did, and I hold what they did in some type of appreciative way, then I'll attach it. So I think what they did was I think it was strength. You know what I mean? I think it was also. I probably wouldn't say they were my heroes, but I think what they did was heroic. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? I wouldn't say they're my heroes in the sense of what they did. And I probably wouldn't have said that before. After today's show, I might say that, yeah, they can be heroes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, that's interesting.
Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Because before I would look at my heroes, like the word "my" would go in front of it, as opposed to just someone did something heroic. Are they a hero? And even the person who said the caller. Oh, matter of fact, that was Anthony that said that you can choose to be a hero. I still don't agree with the fact that you can set out to be a hero, but one of the things that he did say in there that kind of was looking at is the fact that there are heroic acts. Yeah. And so I guess once you can identify a heroic act of something, then you can say, oh, okay, I can see how that person could be a hero, right? So I think what happened to Central Park 5 was devastating, terrible.
Definitely.
And I'm glad that the word is getting out now about what they did, about what they went through. But you can never give someone their time and their life back. So society should continue to look into that to make sure it doesn't continue to happen. And I feel like that's what their efforts are right now, is to make us look deeper into that, and that's heroic. Yeah.
That act in itself is heroic. That act
in itself.
Yeah. Right. Showing up the way that they did, despite not having the years that they were taken away.
That's right.
Well, thank you all to all of our listeners for tuning in, and thank you to our callers for calling in. And here at Situation and Circumstances, as always, we promise to you, our listeners, that we will continue to make beautiful mistakes, and we embrace the opportunity afforded by our ancestors to speak, whether right or wrong, weak or strong. We be learning humans, working on liberation and scaffolding a meaningful and fair existence for all. Till next time, my brothers, sisters, love y'all so much. We'll see you every second and fourth Tuesday.
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance?
Cake mix mix and race mixes. Matrix, kill the witches. 3 digits, made of 6s. KKK or white privilege. Old spirits, blood riches. Real hatred, fake forgiveness. Skinny image, fat problems. I don't really know how we solve them. Gods made us, kings gave us. 2 enslavers, 2 enslavers. Castaways on railways. Underground dark web pages. Marvel heroes, connect the zeros. Connect the pharaohs, bone marrow. Egyptian princes, dark and ancient. Preserve the patience, black and Haitian. White and Asian, British coaches. Eat crustaceans, ocean roaches. Illuminati, inject the bodies. GMOs, drug hobbies. Aboriginal, Pan-African, old biblical. Reincarnation, hip-hop playlists, vocal ranges. Sex is wages, sex changes. The game of life, bullets fly. Ruin nights, players clueless. Kids' rights, humans fight. Nature loses, hard of hearing. Dolomite, Darwinism, Garvanite. Hates a virus, terabytes. Hard to live with, parasites. Come on!
Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situations and circumstances. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. How can we see each other with only a glance? Look, some of us robotic, programmed to follow. Some of us have logic and we wide awake. Some of us don't got it till we learning slow. Some of us love God as part of having soul. Some of us robotic, programmed to follow. Some of us have logic and we wide awake. Some of us don't got it, so we learning slow. Some of us love God as part of having soul. Situation and circumstance. Fight for wisdom, not ignorance. Trying to avoid it is not a lonely dance. Can we see each other with only a glance? Situation and circumstance.